Hey everybody, what is happening? Happy Tuesday. Hey, I'm pumped up, fired up. I want to come and talk to you today, this evening. And usually at night I do the If I Were A, where I literally go in and like build a business from scratch or come up with some ideas. So I absolutely love creating ideas, and so that's what I love to do the most. So create ideas, create businesses from scratch. So I'm working with clients, and we're coming up with like profit paths, profit centers, things like that. And one of the things that we were talking about today during one of our calls was a symphony house. We're doing like a symphony house. So if I owned a symphony house, I would immediately plan monthly events and put history around music. Like for Veterans Day, I would have somebody dressed up as like era correct uniforms, maybe, and then walk out on stage and give the history of the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner, the history of that, and then the symphony would play it. And I would call it Military Night at the Symphony. Is literally the event that I would call it. Military Night at the Symphony. And then I would have all of the history of the music. You'd have a little uniform or whatever and say, in the War of 1812, this is why we had drummers. This is why we had, whatever. And then you would literally give the history throughout the major wars, the major conflicts, all that stuff, and just give the history of why we have drums in battle in like the Civil War or the Spanish American War or whatever. Why do we have drummers? I would definitely create events around that. Immediately, I would have, Halloween, at the symphony, Christmas at the symphony, military night at the symphony. And so if I owned a symphony house, this is exactly what I would be doing. And I would be putting on these type of themed events and talking about the history of everything. I just think that'd be very cool. And another business that I was thinking about, which I think would be very, very cool, just because I love events, would be servicing or serving museums and actually putting on, like inside of a museum, you would have some kind of a theater and you would put on, I don't know, Pocahontas, Lewis and Clark. You would put on anything. You would put on different plays inside of museums, and then that would be another profit center for the museum, is to actually, what was it like? Like, they do in North Carolina, they do Civil War reenactments, which I think are very, very cool. So they do these Civil War reenactments, and there's actually a group of people that get together, and North versus South and all this stuff, and they tell a history about it. There's a battle, you can watch it, like it's very, very cool. I would be doing that in museums. If I had a museum or National History of Arts Museum or whatever, I would literally throughout the week, maybe I was a company that tours around museums and does plays at these different museums, kind of like Broadway, going around the country and just speaking at different museums. And we're just putting on plays, talking about the history, and you can see exactly what it was like back then. The only gateway that we have is what's in history books. But what if you could reenact history, maybe in our own words? I just think that would be a very cool attraction for museums. So if I were a museum curator, I would figure out how to bring stuff like that to the museum, because kids love all of that reenactment and history and all that other stuff. inside business, I really try to build out a profit center. And when I'm working with people on their business, I really try to figure out, what are you going to be positioned as? What are you going to be known as? What is the one aspect of your business that you're going to be known for? When people think of, I want to become a speaker, I want to become a podcaster, I want to become an author, they think of me. I'm tagged in different posts. People are like, hey, I want to be a speaker. And they're like, go talk to him. Go talk to this person. You know, I know people like Phil Capron, who buys apartment buildings, who also has a book coming out about how to make $1 million from your VA loan if you're in the military. I know people who, like Jeremy Slate, is like one of the top podcasters in the country and speaks at different events. Like, I speak at PodFest. I speak at Outliers Podcast Festival. I speak at New Media Summit, National Publicity Summit. There's just so many events that have that. Like, I'm speaking at these events, and then Jeremy Slate is also speaking at podcast events, and he has Command Your Brand. And he's talking about the branding and the podcasting and all that. There are people positioned, you know, like Joe Polish, #1 marketer in the world. Christopher Lochhead, #1, you know, marketer in the world. Category King. Designer. So you have these people who are the go-to experts in their category, but how did they get there? It was because they were positioning themselves by delivering valuable information 100% of the time, and they're teaching their audience, and they're giving their audience value up front, and that's what they're known for. They're known for this one thing because not only are they doing it, but they're teaching it as well. So when I'm working with people on their business, I'm like, what is the one thing that you want to be known for? What is the positioning that you want? So I've dubbed myself the business positioning strategist. I take a book, I take a podcast, I take a speaker, I take a business, I take whatever it is and position it strategically within the marketplace so that you can improve your positioning, which equates to improving your profitability. Your profitability is a direct reflection of your positioning. If you are not positioned in the marketplace and the marketplace has already positioned you because you didn't do it first and the marketplace has already decided what you do, then it's going to be very, very hard for you to come back and get positioned. Because once you are positioned by the marketplace, it is very hard to unseat that and become something else. So just keep that in mind. So position you, or the marketplace will position you. And so what I work on people in their business is their positioning, which increases their profitability, decreases the anxiety and stress because you don't have to worry about where that money is coming from. You don't have to worry about where your next client is coming from. You don't have to worry about the profit path that you're going to go down because we've already built it for you. If you're on a podcast and you are at the end of the podcast and they say, hey, where can we learn more about you? Immediately say, I have a free gift for the audience. Go to this landing page, download this one free resource. We all know you're going to get on their email list because you're going to gate the information. Basically, gated information is when I want an email address or a phone number for that information. So you gate the information, you give them a free resource that moves the needle, and therefore the people who are listening to the episode want that free resource. They download the free resource. They're on your email list now. And so you're building your email list through the podcast by giving value and then the free resource at the end. That's a profit path because what happens is they're on your email list and then you hit them a couple times with valuable information, and then you're going to have a low ticket offer that you're going to offer them, $47. I have a $47 speaker strategy guide that literally gets speakers booked for thousands of dollars. Everybody tells me that I need to raise the price of this speaker strategy guide. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe it'll go from $47 to $97. I haven't decided. But the information that's in there in my speaker strategy guide, and I'll put the link right here in the Okay, there it is. So there's the link. You can do that. Once you're on a podcast, at some point they're going to say, how can we know more about you? That is the moment where you give away your free resource and then you build your email list through the podcast. You also take that podcast. I always ask myself, now what? So I'm on a podcast. Now what? Take that podcast episode when it comes out, take the graphic, take the show notes, and then you're going to put it on a website. So my website has a space that says media appearances, and once you scroll on the media appearances, then you would click on guest cast, and under guest cast, you can absolutely see every single podcast episode I've ever been on, and I've been on over 100 podcasts. In the last 2 years, I've been on over 100 podcasts. I'm approaching 200, and about 30 or 40 episodes that that I have not put on my website yet. So, Trish Lito, what's happening, Trish? Thanks for joining. So when you're on a podcast, so what is the vehicle? What is the way that you will deliver your offer? That's what you have to figure out. What is the way that you will deliver your offer? And that's what I love to create. I love to create the offer, but the way it's delivered. So if my offer was, hey, Symphony House, I'm a music consultant, whatever, and I want to create theme nights, for the symphony, because I don't know anybody's like, I'm going to go to the symphony. Like, I can't wait. I'm super pumped. It usually is a targeted demographic. And so if I was the person consulting to the Symphony House, I would say immediately, November 11th, I would create military night at the symphony, date night at the symphony. And what it would be is them teaching how to or where the music came from that is used in battle. Why do we have drummers back in the 17 and 1800s? Why did we have drummers? I would teach the history of the Air Force song, the Marine Corps song, the Army song, the Navy song, the Coast Guard song, and I would be singing those, teaching those. What's the history of it? So you get the music, but you also get the history behind it. And so then you bring your audience into that experience, and you're serving veterans because it's Veterans Day, or if it's Halloween at the symphony and you play scary music or whatever you're doing, talk about the history of Halloween. If you're talking about Easter, you do some Easter stuff and gospel. Like, there's so much you can do with just music. There's so much you can do if you have a theater. If you own a theater and you're putting on plays, you would put on plays that are time correct, period correct. So like you would do famous plays like I don't know, what is one that what's that one? Jesus, got a screaming baby back here. So you've got It's a Wonderful Life would be amazing to put inside of a theater house during Christmas. During Memorial Day, you would have a veteran play. Got a screaming baby behind me. Jeez almighty. Anyway, so basically, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so if I owned a theater, I do the same thing. Immediately would do the same thing. So I would, for Memorial Day, to have a veterans, like a military play, for different, points of time, for seasons of life, right? You'd have seasons of life, and you would tell stories, through that. So I just think that there's so many different ways. You have so many different ways to build profit centers, but it has to be like the vehicle. Like, what is the vehicle to deliver your offer? So everybody wants to have solutions to the problem, but no one wants to market the problem. So market the problem, not the solution, and then go ahead and solve that problem. and what is the vehicle that you are going to deliver that offer. And then to tie all that up, what is your profit? What is your profit center? What is your, like, the main question you have to ask yourself 100% of the time, right? What is your core profit strategy? What is your core visibility strategy? 80% of your time needs to be on that number one core profit strategy. If it's podcast, giving a free resource, you could have 10 free resources, right? You could have 10 of them lined up, right? I got one for veterans. I got one for real estate. I got one for business. I got one for women. I got one for men. I got relationships. You have all these free resources. Every free resource has an offer. Every free resource then has a low ticket offer, medium ticket offer, high ticket offer. And you do that through your email list. But they have to get on your email list in order to get that. Free trainings. Does the free resource go into, what is your, literally write this out. What is the free resource? Let's say my free resource was 5 ways to get booked to speak. That's a free resource. 5 ways to get booked to speak. Then that would be a free resource that goes into a free training. Not a stupid webinar about how I was this way when I was a kid and I was bullied and then I fumbled my way through high school and all of a sudden I had a transformation and then 45 minutes later I've given you no value. I've given you a shitty offer and then everybody tries to buy your offer and then you wonder why your webinar sucked. Because that is every webinar script ever. And people are sick of it. So instead of giving a shitty webinar script for 45 minutes, you actually give value. So what you would do is you would actually give somebody value, give them those ways to actually take away from your webinar and say, do you want to go deeper with me? And then from that free resource, you got them to a free training. From the training, oh, by the way, here's my $47 strategy guide that gets speakers booked consistently. From the $47, they buy that strategy guide. From the $47, they get segmented in your email list. Then from the email list, you would go into a medium ticket offer, which is maybe like $297. Do a one-on-one call with me for 1 hour for $197, or do a 7-day challenge with me for $197 or $297. We're going to get you booked to speak within these 7 days. And, we want 3 podcasts, 1 speaking engagement, and that's going to be what the medium ticket offer. The medium ticket offer is $297. We're going to get you on 3 podcasts. We're going to get you on 1 stage. Boom. We're going to get you positioned properly in those 7 days. Boom. And then from that medium ticket offer, you go to that high ticket offer. It could be $3,000, $5,000, $25,000, whatever. But all of it starts on the profit path. And so that's what I love to build, is that journey that customer is going to take, not through a funnel, not through some landing page that's like scrolling forever, not that stuff. It's what is the human interaction? What are the ways that they're going to get closer to you, right? And this is what I love to do. So if you're struggling with that and you don't want to struggle with that in 2020, let's jump on a call. I give away free 15 to 30-minute phone calls, just looking at everything. I give positioning audits. I look at your social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, everything. I look at your website. I look at your books, programs, products, services, podcasts, whatever. I look at everything, and then I just give you an audit of what I would do to really tie it all together, have a clear-cut offer, and then move forward with that. So if that's something you're interested in, message me, shoot me a message. I'm not hard to get a hold of. Would love to talk to you for about 15 to 30 minutes, see what I can do to help you inside of those 15, 30 minutes, and then give you a chance to go deeper with me. So we've literally got, 9 weeks left? Literally, if I really counted, we got like 9 Fridays, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to December 6th, 7, 8, 9. We literally have 9 Fridays left of 2019. 9 Fridays and like 9, 10 Mondays. So yeah, we have 9 weeks left before 2020. So you have 9 weeks to get your shit together, figure it out, or someone's going to position you in the wrong way, and you don't want that to happen. For any business, you need to be positioned the way that you want to be received and perceived inside the marketplace. and that's what I help with. So anything else, please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for joining. Love seeing you. And like I said, if you need anything, let me know. I'm here for you. I give away 15 to 30-minute phone calls. So let's talk and get your 2020 rolling. Have a good night.